to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days. Let me take you back to the good old days.
Talofalava malole soifua maua malelangi e mama. Ni Sambolavinaka ke manisakana wikanda mai viti. Hello everyone and welcome to Talanoa Tupe. This is a show where we celebrate and highlight Pacifica's success in all its many forms. Each week we sit down with a different Pacific thought leader to hear about their journey. Our guest today is Latafale Auva'A. She was the first woman to hold 4 Pacific regional titles. In 2014 she won Miss Samoa New Zealand, Miss Samoa, Miss Pacific Islands and Miss World Samoa. She also placed in the top 10 for Miss Universe New Zealand in 2018. She's a trained lawyer and now a foreign policy officer at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Before we sit down with our guest, we have some helpers from the Pacific Social Justice League to test our knowledge on the Blue Pacific. How well do you know our region? Let's find out with this quiz.
Kia ora.
Talofa lava.
My name is Tupe.
And my name is Telesia.
And we are members of
the Pacific Social Justice League. And we're going to give you a quiz on our Blue Pacific.
Let's go.
Can you tell us which country this flag belongs to?
Can you tell us the capital of this country?
Can you tell us the name of the leader of this country?
And lastly, can you tell us what currency they use in this country?
Stick around to the end of the show so we can compare our answers.
See you soon.
Thank you to Lucia and Tuasivi. I look forward to those answers at the end of the show. Up next, they say that who we are is a result of what we feed our minds. The shows we watch, the music we listen to, and the books that we read. Our next segment is about Pacific literature and it's presented by my good friend Leilani Tamu.
Talofa lava malolele whakalofalahi atu. My name's Leilani Tamu. I'm a writer and an editor and I'm passionate about Pacific books. The book I'm going to tell you about today is called Tangata o le Moana, New Zealand and the People of the Pacific. It's a heavy book and so it should be because it contains a range of essays that go back over the course of what is quite a long and complicated history. The book accompanies an exhibition which is at the Te Papa Tongareva, the Museum of New Zealand, and the book was edited by Sean Mellon, Kolokesa Mahina Tuai and Damon Salesa. This is an important book and it covers everything from early relationships in history between Aotearoa and its sister nations right through to more contemporary relationships, and particularly since the huge wave of migration to Aotearoa in the 60s and 70s. The book includes a range of photographs and some really interesting small I'd say almost like images of things that are in the exhibition. So it means that even if you don't get a chance to go to Wellington to see the exhibition, you can get a real sense of how rich and wide-ranging it is. It's a fantastic book and I highly recommend it. It's a great book if you want to give a gift that is really important for a family. If you like this review and you'd like to read more reviews, or you'd like to contribute a review yourself, please check out my website.
Thank you, Leilani. After the break, we're joined by Pacific beauty queen Latafale Auva'A. Welcome back to Talanoa Tupe. I'm here with the first woman to hold 4 Pacific Regional Beauty titles. She's also a musician, a trained lawyer, and a foreign policy officer at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Talofalava lau awhionga ngā lumale mana. Welcome, Latafale, to the show.
Mahalo le soifua whaftai lava mo le awanoa I au te whaatulo atu I lau silafanga. So thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's I feel really blessed with the talent we've been able to have on the show, and there's a lot that I want to talk about in terms of your story. So, but first of all, though, you are new to Wellington, and how have you enjoyed being in the city?
Yes, that's right. So, windy welly, as they say. It took me a while to get used to the wind. I spent about 8 years of my life in Dunedin, so I loved the small city, and I loved being able to walk around, and I thought, how is Wellington going to measure up? And I tell you what, it's actually been really, really awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I love it. It's small and compact, but also there's quite a lot happening, and it's got a good vibe to it, so I'm enjoying it here.
Can't beat Welly on a good day, right?
Exactly, yeah, and I just learnt that song, Can't Beat Wellington on a Good Day, I think.
That's an actual song?
That is an actual song, yeah. Yeah, it was one of the first songs that was recommended I listened to before I came down here, so.
Cool. It lives up to its name.
Yeah.
You come from a family of very high achievers. I've known your sister for a long time. We went to law school together. Tell me, what was that like growing up in such a family where the standard is set really high?
Yeah, it was, I think it was awesome. I had such an amazing childhood, very blessed. I have wonderful parents, my mother Felicity and my dad Unasa, and so my siblings are very talented, and we've always been pushed to really give everything our best and take lots of opportunities. So when I was young, I was able to look up to my brothers and sisters and really had some amazing just experiences looking and seeing how they perform and how they excel and how they do life, really. So there's 7 years difference between me and my next sibling, Mary Tiana, and then there's 12 years difference between me and the oldest. So I think that age gap really benefited me because I would have been I was so young, and also had these wonderful leaders that were, I guess, teenagers as well going into their adult life, where I really had some awesome opportunities just to see how to do life and how to live life and how to make the most of every opportunity. And so, yeah, my siblings are all wonderful. Now there's nine grandchildren, and they're all married and they're all in their own industries, super successful. So education is something that's been so key in our family. My next sibling, Mary Tiana, she's a deputy principal, and so she follows my dad's stead, who is a principal and a leader in the education scene. And my brother, he is a professional sportsman, or was a professional sportsman for a very long time, and now he's gone into the ministry, into the church ministry, that is, which is awesome. And then, of course, my sister, my older sister Sarah Jane, is just making wonderful traction within leadership and governance. And so, they're pretty full on. So, I've got good role models in my life. Yeah.
Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Exactly.
It's funny you mention your position in the family, because I'm similar to you in the sense that there's 7 years between me and my next sibling as well, and I feel like you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get those great role models, but also you sort of get the chance to develop your own sort of leadership because you're kind of the youngest, and it's almost like being in another, I mean, your parents are in a different position financially, sort of the older they are, so you get quite a lot of benefits being in that sort of space.
Absolutely, and also you learn what not to do. So as a young one, I took a good lessons in learning maybe what not to do in terms of life situations. So I think that's also the benefit of being the youngest of the family, is that sometimes you don't have to walk through such challenges, because you can learn through what other people have gone have walked through, and that's boded me well. I guess journeying as an adult, getting older. And
so you mentioned that you were in Dunedin before you were in Wellington. And so I know that you moved out of home sort of when you were 18, right? Which is quite unusual in our Pasifika community. So what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, very unusual, and I wouldn't have probably moved out at all, but I'm so blessed. I had a really good stint at high school. The last 2 years of my high schooling, I went to St Cuthbert's College for 7 years, and then I went to King's College for my last 2 years, and loved school so much. So I was actually set up to win scholarships to various universities, and Otago University offered me a 5-year Faculty of Law scholarship. So blessed to have received that, and that was the kick out the door for my parents, being like, okay, you know, you can, you know, we'll be comfortable in letting you go outside of the family and start journeying your life as a young adult away from home. All my siblings stayed at home after school, so I was very much, you know, out on the limb, or just took a different journey. So. Yeah. In terms of moving away from home, I've always been quite independent, and obviously having that age gap as well, doing my own thing and just, you know, taking those different opportunities. I loved it, and I got plugged in with a good network down south, and a good Pacific network as well, who, yeah, were, you know, a family there, and I was really well supported. But I can understand now, going away from the family, how it does grow you as an individual and as a young adult, because you are no longer, I guess, in that family unit where your parents know where you are 24/7, or, you know, you're just walking a little bit more independently. And so for me it was awesome, but definitely a growing and a learning curve. But it's actually something now in my own life experience, I definitely do encourage people to be able to get out and, you know, especially for my faith journey as well, I was able to get out and walk on my own faith and see, you know, what are the things that are instilled in me as a young adult, and whether or not I truly believe in the things that I have grown up and learned and lived. And yeah, so it's a testing time, but I mean, that's the experience of life, really. And so I loved it, and I stayed in wonderful contact with my parents. And I remember my mother and my father both came down to Dunedin, and there were lots of tears. And there were lots of tears and lots of prayers, but
because it's not just down the road, eh?
No, it's not. And being the baby of the family as well, I don't think Mum and Dad intended on me, you know, having an empty nest, as you'd say, straight out of high school. So, but that was like a God-given opportunity, and you can't really say no to such, I guess, a wonderful provision of scholarships that had been offered to me. And my parents, of course, are so encouraging of everything, of taking opportunities as they come. And so, yeah, very blessed to have had that, I guess, exchange and depart from home into young adult life. And I didn't go straight into flatting. I went into a residential college, which I think provided me a really good basis of that support away from home, and then I progressed into flatting and the like.
So you've been given a lot of opportunities, and you've also been given a lot of talent. So you're well known for your achievements as a beauty queen, but you're also very talented in music and law and in sport, and sounds like your whole family is too.
Yes.
Have you had any difficulty in choosing what you put your efforts into, or do you even feel like you need to choose between those different areas of your life?
Yeah, and I mean, this is a question that I often think about, because you know, they said you can be a jack of all trades but not a master at one, and so for me, always having different opportunities come in front of me with different seasons. I haven't had to say yes to one and no to the other. I've kind of just had opportunities present themselves where, okay, in this season I'm doing a lot more, you know, role modelling or beauty pageant or speaking or creativity, and then in this season I'm maybe doing a little bit more academia or using a different strength. It has been difficult to be able to choose in terms of career-wise which path to go down, But again, I work by seasons, and so for me, it's looking at the season and what are the opportunities available for me at this present moment that are going to lead me one way or the other. But yeah, it is a little bit difficult, and I think the more that I get older and the more that I progress life, I'm really encouraging of people to find out what their passion is and what they love to do, because life is just way too short for you to be doing something that, one, you're not passionate about, and two, you're not living a happy and fulfilled life. And so the more that I get older, I say that I'm still quite young, but you know, the more that I am just learning about life, the more I'm like, life is too short. You have to go with what, you know, God-given talents, your passions, your purpose.
So you obviously have a passion for beauty pageants, and you went through a season in your life where I guess you entered quite a few beauty pageants and were very successful. What was your driver and your motivation for putting yourself out there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I wouldn't, when I look back on my journey, I started in 2014 in pageants. So I've been a creative in terms of performance, like before that. I love singing, I love dancing, and I love speaking. Beauty pageants was something that I never thought in my head, I'm definitely going to do. You know, I want to do that. I see these beauty queens and I want to be like that. It was more an opportunity for me to understand my Samoan culture, and also that was the first ever beauty pageant I entered, was Miss Samoa New Zealand, and my sister Sarah Jane had entered it many years ago, and so in the back of my mind I'd always thought my sister did that, and that was a wonderful celebration and exchange of her culture, and then an opportunity presented itself where it just grabbed my attention, and you know, enrolments had gone out for competing in Miss Samoa New Zealand online, and at the time I was in Dunedin, so that all just seemed to work out, and I thought, I've got an inkling that this might lead to something. I didn't really have in my mindset that all of a sudden I would, you know, start on this incredible pageant journey, which is what happened.
Pageants, yeah.
I just, you know, and because obviously, like, there are people who, you know, and there are young women who love makeup, who love design, who love dress. I'm going to be honest with you, like, I'm pretty down to earth with dress sense and makeup prior to pageants. I didn't really have an understanding of that, and so for me, I was like, oh, this is an awesome opportunity. Maybe I can add to, I guess, the strengths and see what happens. And it was literally in seeing what would happen that just opened up this incredible door for me to learn about pageants, but also to learn about my Samoan culture, and then also to then represent Samoa on the world stage, and then also just to refine, I think, who I am as both a Samoan but also someone who's of mixed heritage. So my mum being European and my dad being Samoan, me growing up in New Zealand and speaking English as well. And I was the most unlikely candidate, I think, to have won Miss Samoa New Zealand, but then also win Miss Samoa and then go on to represent the Pacific as well. I was a very unlikely candidate because I wasn't raised in at home. I say at home, but again, like, once that door opened, the driver for me was really just representing my country well and getting to know who I am as a Samoan more. So, yeah.
That's a really interesting topic, and I want to hear more about that. But first, we've got to take a break.
Yeah.
Okay, Latafale, I have to follow up with you on something you said. You thought that you were one of the most unlikely candidates to win Miss Samoa. What do you think are the challenges for Samoans who are born in New Zealand?
Sure. I mean, obviously not being home in Samoa is one. But then I guess living in a community where you're surrounded by English as the predominant language, and then like for example myself, I don't have bilingualism isn't something that I was born and raised with, but my identity as a Samoan was definitely cultivated in me from a young age, despite the fact that I couldn't speak Samoan. And I guess one of the reasons why that happened is also education was such a big key. When our grandmas and grandpas, migrated over to New Zealand, one of the key things that they wanted was education, and they wanted the younger generation to do well. And so for me, a big part of my life was excelling in the school system that I was in. And so obviously the command of the English language is something that I love. And then the command of the Samoan language is something that I love, but in a different cultural setting, having that expectation of me having to, be able to speak Samoan, made me quite fearful at that time, because of course you don't want to butcher your own language, and so I think for New Zealand Samoans, especially those who are unable to speak the language, it's quite I think it's a tough position to be in, because we want to, and for me at that time, that was one thing that I couldn't do, and so when I say I was an unlikely candidate to win Miss Samoa, it was definitely because the language is, it's precious, it's a gift, and so I had to cultivate this new mindset, and also surround myself with an encouraging bubble of people who just saw me as a Samoan, because my Samoan is in my blood, my Samoanness is in my blood, it's in who I am. And also then, coming to my culture and just being open-hearted and open-minded that, I can learn. It's never too late to learn, especially as an adult. And it's important to learn, and it's important to make mistakes, even with the own language, even with the Samoa. And so, I saw that whole journey as just an incredible learning journey for me to, have this opportunity to find out about who I am as a Samoan. My name Latafale is so special, and I've always been the odd one out as well, because not many people at all have the name Latafale, or have Samoan names within the community that I had, my education community, or my schooling community. And I loved learning about my name, because it's what they call it. My dad would describe it as a princess title, the Sa'amatai title of the Matea. And my grandmother came over from Samoa, and about a couple of years after I was born, my first name is not Latafale, it's Alofa, but she gave me her title, and so when I started learning about how wonderful that lineage is and where that stems from, and then starting to get involved in my culture a lot more, it's just this amazing part of me that all of a sudden I felt just awoken, and I just felt so much more connected to who I am and who I am when I say I am a Samoan. I was an unlikely candidate, but thankfully when I won Miss Samoa, I had to move over. Moved back home, and I had to live and breathe in Samoa. And I said, one of my goals was, I said, to myself, I said, even though I can't speak fluently, I am going to show my heart and pour my heart out to my community and get involved in absolutely everything that I could. And I think that's what allowed people to come out and support my journey, and for people to be invested in my journey. Whether or not they were New Zealand Samoans, Australian Samoans, whatever, we're all Samoan. At the end, we're all Samoan. And,
Amen.
And they just love, I think we get behind our people. So I really found that, especially moving to Samoa.
That's such a beautiful story, and I think it's one that a lot of children of the migration can relate to, because when our grandparents came here, it was for a better life, it was for education, it was for everything that you've poured your heart and soul into to achieve. And I feel that those of us who have been through that journey, seen those sacrifices, and we focused on the things that our grandparents wanted us to focus on. But now we feel very deeply that loss of the language that came at a price, for us. So, I mean, hats off to you for moving to Samoa, for putting yourself out there, for making the mistakes, And, I think that is something that's really encouraging for a lot of people of our generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
In order to put yourself out there in those beauty pageants, you have to be quite a confident person. Was that always something that was innate in you, or how was that nurtured?
Yes, I think, like I said, having good siblings. Actually, it stems from my parents, if I'm going to be honest. My parents are amazing, and they always instilled in us as children a sense of self-worth that comes from our value system, and knowing who I am in my faith value system. And so I guess I was nurtured from a young age to be confident, to put the work in, as they say, do the mahi, and then just to know that you're worth something and you're valued, and what you do has an effect on other people, and what you do can have, an important say in even in society. So my parents have always cultivated like a great attitude in us. And so I think that also is the reason why I've been able to put myself out there, because the values that I have, faith, love, but also the fact that God's created me as a child of His, and then every opportunity that presents itself is not by chance, but there's a purpose, and so in understanding those learnings, that's probably been a big backbone to me going out and doing what I have been doing. But from a young age, Mum and Dad also put me out, at church, singing at church. In Sunday schools, we would go to old retirement villages, and we would be singing there, and we'd be speaking. And I remember Mum and Dad, training us up to speak for, speeches and doing all of those primary school activities that involve public speaking and involve being in front of people. And so I think that training also has added to me being able to put myself out there. And actually it's quite funny. I remember the speech that my brother did on cats when I was in primary school, and I actually copied nearly the exact same speech that he had given.
Another advantage of having older siblings.
The other advantage of having older siblings. But no, my parents have always cultivated us a great sense of self-worth, and that what we do matters, and just to have confidence in ourselves, even if we don't necessarily get it right, or even if we don't really think that we're, I guess, completely, inept for the role or whatever it is. They've always been encouraging that, one step forward, and you'll see a difference.
Yeah, sounds like they encouraged a real growth mindset in you and your siblings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So in the beauty pageants, even though quite a bit of it's about having beauty with a purpose, and there is still quite a heavy emphasis on the physical attributes. So what I would like to know is, in your eyes, what makes a person beautiful?
In my eyes, what makes a person beautiful? My number one ethos is that it stems from the heart, first and foremost, and cultivating, your heart as beautiful then obviously overflows to when you speak to people, or when people see you and also meet you. And so as much as it's outward aesthetics, which is 100% what beauty pageants are also about, let's not say it's not. It's that's a huge thing. It's part of the competition. For me, I think what makes a person beautiful is having a beautiful heart, and those attributes which is, love, kindness, acceptance, understanding, self-worth as well. So, and I'm never a person to judge someone by their appearance. I always love having good conversations with people and seeing maybe what's on their heart. So yeah, that's how I've always seen it, and that's always how I've wanted to represent myself. You'll see as well on my social media, I do a lot of encouragements and positive encouragements, and those stem from, how's your heart, what is your attitude, how's your mindset, because I feel like when you're confident and when you know who you are, tells so much more than your outward appearance.
So I remember when you were going for Miss World Samoa and you had the whole Samoan community rallying behind you, and now you continue to have a social media presence. Do you feel there's a responsibility that comes with having a social media following?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I didn't understand that at the time. In 2014, 2015, 2016, my social media just kind of exploded, and I didn't really have that mindset at the time to, oh, I'll be an influencer, oh, I'll do X, Y, and Z. Looking back on that now, I'm a lot more understanding that what I put out on social media actually affects people and can actually encourage people, and especially the younger generation. The messages that I receive from people are incredible, and they really are people sharing their real life stories and situations, and also sharing to me how my message or my word or my picture or what I've done has helped them, you know, make a decision about their life. And so when you receive those types of messages from people, you really have a stronger understanding of how important it is what you say and what you put out on social media. And I think that's even more prevalent today, considering the content that is going out on social media. I am a bit conservative, I guess, as you'd say. And so I worry for our next generation, because there's so many voices saying so many different opinions and expressing so many different things outside of, I guess, my value set, or, you know, a faith-based value set, which I think is beautiful and amazing, that people can get sidetracked. And so, yeah, it's really important for me what I put out on social media, that one, it's positive, two, that it's always encouraging, and three, that it's obviously there's a faith-based value to what I'm saying.
Yeah. So something that comes across very strongly in your social media is your relationship with God. So what would you like people to understand about that?
That it's changed my life, and the reason for who I am and what I've achieved. And if you look at all of the things that, I guess the successes that people would deem in this world as successes, that is all because of my relationship with God, and that has changed me and cultivated the mindset that I have. And it allows me the confidence, understanding who I am as a child of God has allowed me the confidence to go out for and really put myself out there for all of these activities. And so, yeah, I can't explain the joy that I have through, you know, my relationship with Christ. And yeah, I'm just really blessed to, and privileged to be in a position that I am. And so everywhere I go, honestly, that's my first and foremost message, is that in my life, the reason why I am who I am and have done what I've done is because I have a God that loves me, and He's always been there for me. Yeah.
Well, He's given you many gifts, and what you do with your gifts is your present back to Him. So that's awesome. Latafale, now I have some quick fire questions.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay, so what is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, my go-to karaoke song is, oh my goodness, what is it? I want to say I Would Walk 500 Miles. I don't know.
Really?
I do not know why that song popped in my head, but that was the song that popped in, so we'll go for it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Who was the most influential Pasifika person you saw growing up?
Oh, my dad is, actually 100% my dad, even though he's probably not in the wider sphere of influences, I guess. My dad is definitely one. He's just such a go-getter. He was in politics for a while and in education, and so I just saw him, obviously from a personal perspective as well, making movements in the community, and so it's close to home, but it's definitely my dad.
Your first teacher and role model.
Yeah.
Okay, if you weren't in your current profession, what would you be doing now?
Oh, man, what would I be doing? I would literally be going around and probably being a speaker, a positive speaker. I would love to be like a positive speaker or a life coach of some sort, and just sharing about my learnings in life with other people. So if I wasn't, doing what I was doing now, definitely something to do with encouraging people, because that's what I love.
If you could invite any 3 people in history to a family dinner, who would it be?
Michael Jackson, definitely one. Martin Luther King, definitely another. And the third would be, oh my goodness, what would the third be? Beyonce. Here we are.
Can't go past Beyonce. Okay, and the last question, how do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? As a loving and kind person and someone who has walked the talk, you know, yeah.
Awesome. Latafale, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a real blessing to hear about your journey.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honour.
In our next segment, we call on parenting experts from the Martin Hautas Foundation Trust, which has been running parenting courses since 2010. Shout out to all the amazing parents out there holding it down during a worldwide pandemic. Here's a helpful strategy to help you enhance communications with your kids. Talofa, ladies.
My name is Marita Solomon.
And I'm Tale Solomon Moore. And so for the last 10 years, we've been delivering a parenting program that focuses on a different idea each week to help our parents build more positive communication and bond with their children, because parenting is the most important job that one will ever do. However, our precious gifts do not come with a manual, so that's our aim each week, to build more positive communication and bond.
Our tip for this week is praise and encourage your child's idea and creativity. Don't criticize it even if you don't like it. Go with their idea. Follow it through with them. You can say to them, "That's a great idea. I would like to give that a try." Or, "How did you come up with that great idea?" This will signal to them that it is safe to express feelings and ideas. Thank you for joining us. If you would like to know more about Martin Hautas Foundation Trust,
You can like our Facebook page and see the details on the screen.
Thank you for that awesome tip. Marita is my mother and Tale is my sister, so I have a lot of experience with their parenting style. Okay, let's see how we did on the quiz. Please take it away, Sia and CV.
Welcome back to the PSGL quiz.
Let's compare our answers.
This flag is from Niue.
The capital of Niue is Aulawhi.
The currency of Niue is the New Zealand dollar.
The leader of Niue is Premier Dalton Tangelangi.
Thank you for joining us and hope you did well.
If you want to join the Pacific Social Justice League, follow us on our social media platforms. Mode!
Thanks everyone for joining us today. Now to end our show, we have the sweet sounds of Soul Brown and the Soul Sisters. Whawhatai le lava mo le tātou polokolame le nei aso. Soifua ma ia manuia. See you next time on Talanoa with Tupe.
Yeah, I've been questioning you. Sometimes I feel I can't move. When I'm down, you lift my spirit up. Don't we all need some love? But all this hatred and jealousy